everyone. You're watching Speak Your Mind with Dr. Risa Ryger. I'm Neza Alawi, founder and CEO of Mayshad, the New York-based company that empowers women on a daily basis. I'm here today with Dr. Risa Ryger, our clinical psychologist and investor in Mayshad. And our guest is Lisa Ronis, matchmaker and relationship coach. Dr. Ryger, before starting our episode, I would like us to start with your positive thoughts. So, can you share with us what happened positively this week?
Yes, what I'd love to share with you, and welcome everyone. So happy that you're here with us today or joining us on the recording. And so, what I'd like to share with you today is the importance of connection and relationship. Everyone needs connection. Everyone needs love, and living beings really want to also feel protected and feel that their feelings can get hurt, and that can put us in interesting places vis-a-vis our relationship. So what I'd like to share with you today is my experience with my dog, Sammy. And Sammy is a 12-pound, 11-year-old Bichon who seems, like very happy, like going about her day. But this dog, and I know Neza, you have a little dog also. This dog has a streak in her that she doesn't forget, and she can get angry. And what's important is that we all have ways that we communicate. It may not be verbally. And so it may be that we're angry at someone, and so we don't make the coffee that morning, or we're angry with them, so we forget something, whatever it is. Well, Sammy has her own special way of letting us know when she's not happy. So my one daughter who's living with us at this point in time, as many 20-somethings are, went away for a month and came back. And the night that she came back, the dog was kind of ignoring her, not particularly happy, and going in other places. And finally, we heard this shout because she had felt very, very hurt and couldn't communicate this other than turn her face away, but really wanted to make a bigger statement. And that's what she did by leaving a bigger load in front of my daughter's door. And so this is whether it's a dog or whether it's a human being, that we all get hurt. We all get hurt. And we find ways of communicating, whether it's verbally or, in her case, non-verbally, but we really want to get our message across. So that was one aspect of this. However, the positive piece of this, after the little doggy really did communicate very strongly, was that she then made up and warmed up again and found it in her heart to give forgiveness and then connect back to love. So in the course of relationships, it doesn't mean that it goes smoothly side by side all the time. There are times that we move apart. There are times that we feel angry. There are times that we communicate our anger in all different kinds of ways, or whoever it is, partners are, or relationships are, they can communicate their anger or disappointment or hurt feelings in all different kinds of ways. Doesn't mean that it's all over, because the optimistic part and the hopeful part and the part of where connection is so important is that we do have the opportunity to reconnect and continue in relationship.
Beautiful story, and so connected to today's topic. On my end, what I have been observing, and I guess all the transformation that is happening due to COVID and the uncertainties that comes with it, I find it that a lot of my friends who were each very much focused on their career, much have been leading an international life, exciting life between airplanes, are now settling in relationships where we were a group of people that would just be so difficult. Like, I know I like him, I like her, but you know what, like, no, I don't want to settle here, And so, and now with all these COVID times, an earthquake, but that has put us back to a certain reality. I'm seeing how people are changing, transforming in a positive way. So we're going to be able to talk about this with Lisa today. And to everyone, our team today is matchmaking, dating, and love. So, Dr. Ryger, let's discuss the psychological importance of connecting at a human level right now, especially as days get shorter and nights get longer.
Well, we are built for connection. Human beings, we are built for connection. Our brain is a social organ. And so we look for connectedness. We look for ways of being with others. And, and just from a physiological perspective, that it helps us feel better. I mean, it literally helps us feel better. It increases our oxytocin. It helps us feel better. It helps us feel kind of that warm feeling inside. And as I was thinking about Lisa coming on today, I was really thinking about the Beatles song that all you need is love. And that love is the most elusive thing, right? Love can be so elusive. And when you feel it, you just can know it. You feel it in your body. You feel all of a sudden your heart feels differently. Your heart, we have all these expressions, it skips a beat. And so we get a lot of information about how important it is to be in relationship. And Nessa, what you're talking about in terms of how people are reassessing their relationships right now and what's important to them, and is really the moment of time. Because right now, especially as we're going into the winter time, there's going to be less outside time. That how do we communicate with another person? And how do we make connection? And how do we determine what aspects of connection are really important to us? So it's in the quieter background, we have to rely more on older kind of skills from another point in time, which is how are you in connection with someone without flying, taking car trips to great places, getting on a plane, hopping off to Europe, being swept off your feet in this trip or that trip and this, restaurant or the other restaurant. And so it comes back to what is it like between two people at a moment?
So, Dr. Ryger, how have you seen this evolve over the past decade? People used to be much more committed to their relationship. We can talk about 50 years ago and beyond. And then we've seen waves of divorces and separations that explain that the couple has shifted and people are no longer as happy within the couple as they used to be. How do you explain that?
Well, people hopefully keep growing. People keep growing, people keep changing, hopefully, in that, there are things that, let's say, you may have done, I may have done earlier on in our lives, and we've gone for something, we've experienced something, and we feel satiated with it. It could be an intellectual endeavor, it could be a work endeavor, it could be some ways that we're growing in our relationships. And so sometimes we can feel that we've kind of been there, we've kind of experienced, we've kind of done that, and that we're looking for not necessarily the new bright shiny object. It's not about that. It's not about being distracted and going this way and that way, but it has to do with internal growth. And so in relationships, how do you navigate? How do you create an internal growth, a growth of sharing interests, a growth of sharing experiences, and whatever that may look like now during COVID. And there's lots of ways of doing that. I'm sure Lisa will enumerate these ways, but that we also have more quiet to really understand better what's really happening, when the noise has been loud, we've all been in the state of busy, more busy, busier, incredibly busy, and beyond busy. And so we're more in one place, and it gives us a time to reflect. And it's a sad thing. I mean, no one feels happy about there being an end of a relationship, but sometimes that is what happens. But that doesn't mean it has to happen. And so there's relationships like anything else that grows and that is alive. Or there's an aliveness. There's a liveliness in a relationship. Not every second we understand that, but that somewhere you have to feel that there's still a pulse in your relationship. And relationships don't just happen on their own. Relationships take effort. Relationships take focus and time and action. And so just love is great. All you need is love. That may be so. But the kicker here is, how do you take that love and express it? How do you communicate that love? Because we can hear so many times, like, I really love him, or I really loved her, or I really, and that's all true.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, how does that love get communicated and channeled in ways that are meaningful for you and that are meaningful for the other person? Because that's really where what love means, what love looks like, and what love feels like. That's the places where there's growth. And we try to find those spots, find those moments where, okay, we need a little watering. I know I'm using a plant metaphor. We need a little watering. We need to fertilize this. We need to, maybe it needs to be moved somewhere. Maybe it's been too much in the shade. We need a little sun, but that it's not static. It's not static. It's not inanimate. It's an animate, growing, living entity that we need to support, treasure, and try to take care of.
I love your example of the plant, and I do also refer to it all the time. It is a growing plant, and you have a seed, and then you want to have this beautiful plant, and you want the fruits, and it demands that patience, that investment, that observation, that communication. We know that they tell us to communicate even with plants. So how can you not communicate with a partner? And
Right.
So definitely, but as I started earlier, I'm seeing this time as a positive time for people to get out there, even if they have maybe hesitating dating before COVID. Now is the time to also reopen, as we're all in the same ground. We're living something that is common to everyone. So now is the time to also get out there and try to connect. I mean, some people easily connect with others, but some people are total extrovert, and they feel that they have nothing to talk about to others, and they're so much centered in their life, and they're not selfish people. They're just big introvert. But this is the time to reconnect. We're all live a common situations, and everyone should go out there and date. So it takes us to our expert today, Lisa Ronis, who's joining us. And Lisa is a president at Lisa Ronis Personal Matchmaking. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Lisa. Could you talk to us about why you launched your matchmaking service, and where did the passion come from behind connecting people?
Great question. I was a fashion executive. I went to art school, college. I studied art, and I entered the fashion business. I was a designer of accessories. And I was newly divorced, and people were setting me up So I would have my day job, and then I had my black dress in my office and my makeup, and I would go to a black tie, or I would date, or I go out with my friends, and it was like Sex in the City, you know? And I would be in a nail place, and I'd say to a girl, "You're really cute. Like, are you dating someone?" And she'd say, "I haven't had a date in 2 years." And it was so odd to me to not have a love life. Great to have a boyfriend or a partner, but in the interim, to go out and have fun and talk to people and experience, and as Dr. Ryger said, connect and feel that love. And as the fashion business started to get old to me, and I really wanted to do something in the world that's such a change to make people happy. Yes, a beautiful scarf, a beautiful belt, I did accessories. Somehow I started to think about these people that didn't have, it was before the online dating, that didn't have the want to go out or anyone to help them or a place to meet people. And then I wanted to open up like a club, like Soho House. I'm talking about in the 90s. In my brain, a place to bring people together. And I basically, in 99, before 9/11, I just quit my job and I left the fashion business. Everyone thought I was crazy. And I was tired of traveling the world. And I just wanted to do something different. And I started this company and worked 7 days a week, went out. There were great events at that time. There would be, cancer event at the boathouse. And I was running around collecting cards. And it's been 21 years that I've been in business, and I just never looked back. I said I would give myself 6 months. But the funny thing is, at that time, there were maybe 3 or 4 matchmakers in New York. There was no Patty Stanger with matchmaking shows or anything. It was a small, little sort of cottage industry thing. This is a big industry now. And no one wanted to take on women. So the matchmakers started to call me and said, "Hi, we heard you're great and you're new. Can I send you some women? And then you can give me a fee, 20%. So all I did basically for 21, it ebbed and flowed, but now 99% of my clients are women. And it's been like that for a while, from 20-something to 60-something. I even have a 75-year-old woman who I'm helping. So basically, I work with women, and I love that the women are empowered. They don't have to sit in a database or go online and be rejected by all these guys because they're kids in a candy store. Some girl said to me today, "All right, let's talk about, let's do more guys." So this afternoon, I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to look at, it's like going shopping for men, So that's kind of, but I love what I do. And I think love and relationships, they're so important that, life is a pie. You have your family, you have your work, you have your dog, you have your friends, you have yourself, you have your hobbies. And when that love piece, I know personally, and a lot of people agree with me, when that piece is not there, there's like something missing. So like I said, whether it's getting dressed and being really girly and going on dates and talking to people, or having a partner and being on the couch and watching a great movie and sweat, that connection, I always believe. My parents had a most beautiful marriage. So it really started from my home. They were married almost 65 years. They held hands. My father would be funny. My mother would blush. And this love and passion and this beautiful relationship is something I lived in and for many years. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm like the love doctor.
Lisa, that's so beautiful to have a model of relationship your model of relationship really is about sustainability.
Yep.
And how do you sustain a relationship over decades? And 60 years is a lot of years. I mean, that's 65 years is really, really beautiful. And
want to laugh? I tried to set my mother up when my father passed away. She was like in her 80s, and she goes, "No, no, no." And then I remember there was some rabbi who had a guy, and for about 5 seconds she was interested. She goes, "No, we'll just give him to Renee, her friend, or something like that. So it was funny, but like, I can't help myself. So
well, and that speaks to how you know the importance of connectedness,
totally.
and that relationships, the research is out that relationships helps us, certainly even more so with men. I don't know what the latest data is, but men live longer is being in a relationship.
Yes.
And so for young, for people, and it doesn't even have to be younger people right now, but for all people, there's a sense of immediacy, a sense of immediate gratification. It needs to be now, it needs to be good, it needs to be big, it needs to be all of that. How do you help people learn patience, learn having a little bit of a broader horizon regarding relationships?
During COVID.
Yeah, let's talk about this now. Yeah.
So it's very funny because as you guys were talking, I was thinking of, personally and professionally, the way the guys act. They don't want to do the work. They want to see you, and then that's it. Like, it's very interesting. The women are cautious. It's COVID. Kissing someone is like having sex with someone. I mean, in not so much the intimacy of it, but that the fear of getting this horrible disease is you have to almost contact trace. You have to investigate and know where this person has been as best you can without prying and scaring him off. I'm just saying from the women's perspective. And I feel like the guys that want it now, okay, you're great. That's it. Let's lock it up. Let's go away. Let's have sex. Like women and myself included have had to just sort of, you pick someone who's going to be patient and who's not going to be, just wants to jump in, because they're very anxious. They're anxious. They just want it now. They want the instant partner. And it just doesn't work that way. During COVID, not during COVID, it doesn't work that way. I mean, as a woman, we deserve to be courted. We deserve to get to know who this person is before. I mean, that's the value system that I and my clients hold for the most part. I'm not judging. So I think basically if someone's going to rush you, you just move on to somebody else, because you're not going to teach these dogs like new trick. I mean, it's, but I see that in the guys. They're like, or, they just want it to be now. It's very interesting. And I feel like they're lonelier. They don't have the girly Zoom calls. They don't have the plastic surgery, makeup, shopping conversations. They're not out with the boys. They're not out doing sports, hanging out at a bar. They're like lost puppies. It's been very, like, I wanted to do an article about how the difference between how men and women, I feel like the women in my life have been fulfilled as much as they can. We'd have a Zoom call with a married girl and a single woman who's not dating at all, and another woman who's dating up a storm, and someone who has a boyfriend who doesn't live here. Like, it was just such interesting dynamic for each group. I have lots of friends, each group of friends, but we just had so many projects and so many things, and cooking and working, and the guys were like little lost puppies. It's really funny. There's a huge difference. I mean, that's sitting here talking to both, because the men are like inventory for me. So I have to like FaceTime with them to see if they're gonna, if they're good enough for my girls. So I screen them. And in the old days, right before COVID, I would call or text a guy, hey Brad, how are you doing? How are your kids? What's going on in your love life? And sometimes I'd have to text them 3 times because they're busy, whatever they're doing. Now, within the hour. Interesting. So they're lonely, but they just don't know how to do it. They're lonely and they want to connect, but interesting.
Lisa, I was hearing you and I relate to everything you were saying, from the importance of dating. And it's been also my biggest word to my girlfriend since I was a teenager. It's stop being scared of going out there and dating. It doesn't mean that you're going to end up in a relationship or that you have to have, like an intimate relationship with the person. Just get out and meet someone, a man, that can become a friend, that can become a relationship. So I grew up with boys as best friend because I had an older brother, and then my dynamic was more masculine at that age. Then I went to school and I was playing soccer with my guy friends and so on. So I grew up really being comfortable with both genders.
Which is great.
Yes. And so it has helped me in my personal life all the time because first of all, I didn't fear men. I didn't think of them as, this beast that doesn't know how to communicate whatsoever. I knew how they communicate. They communicate differently, but they're just as cute in their communication, but totally differently.
Yeah.
And I had that comfort of being friends with men. So a date, like at worst would land in an amazing friendship. And then I realized as I got older that dating also teaches you about yourself. And so
your insecurities, yep, everything. Yeah.
When out there and you're having that conversation, pitching yourself to someone who doesn't know you, then you get to learn about yourself every time, and then you have that conversation and so on. So also not dating for a long time and not being in a relationship where you are on a daily basis, communicating with the person, I feel it's like not going in front of a mirror for a long time.
100%. Yep.
You with yourself, but you don't know what you feel like. You don't face yourself in looking at yourself in the mirror, and this is where I stand, and this is, like, oh, maybe I could change this. And I'm talking on a psychological level, not like looking at yourself in a mirror on a physical, looking at your soul, looking at your brain, looking. So yes, so I'm a big preacher of the importance of dating. Now, my next question to you, Lisa, is on my end, I'm going to refer you a lot of men, amazing men who are my friends, who are after 20 years of marriage, have older daughters, sons, so on, and really busy men, successful, uh, smart, and they just do not want to go through the apps and the Bumbles, and the Tinders, because they just feel that this is not something of their standards. This is not something, they're not looking for just like a physical encounter. Most of my friends and the ones that I'm like thinking of are based here in New York and in the US, but they have had a very strong international life. So they're very cultured. They like the good times. They like the good books. I know. Sounds like a real catch, like to add on. But I'm serious. Like I'm like right now from the top of my mind, I'm thinking of 3 or 4. And yes, and they're the ones that when I caught up with them in September because we have business relationships, most of them said, you know what, I'm really ready to settle and I'm ready to go see a matchmaker.
Wow.
But yes, not those apps. Definitely not like in their mind, they just cannot be there. But I know I want to see a person. And so there is an evolution there. And yes, so my question to you is, where do the men stand? When you started your business, you said that it was more of a masculine business, like the clients would be more men than women, and you decided to grow women clients.
Well, nobody wanted to take the women because, and when I started, they were like, I was working with these young Wall Street guys, and the city is filled with beautiful women. I don't know, statistically, they say 7 women to every man or whatever the deal is. So I was working with both. But then people started to, I sort of got known to be the women's matchmaker. So, I mean, I had a couple of male clients that got married in the last few years, and I'm working with a few, and there's one that's going to sign. So it's not like I don't. But your friend can come to me and say, I don't want to just date if he wants to date my clients, it's free. If he wants me to do a search for him and look at my database, which has thousands of women, then he would retain my services, and the sky it would be, his limit. But the beautiful thing is you have all the descriptions of someone, you have someone who knows both parties, it's a lot of time wasting on these apps, and it's like sort of going on a blind date when you work with a matchmaker. It's closer. I think you get to check more boxes. So
do you think that we Inez and I have talked about this before, so we're going to bring you into this one, Lisa, that the old kind of a timeline was third date, sex, or done, right? And that was kind of how it a lot of times that it could feel, and so now when being together means something, when meeting together, meeting in person, even if it's 6 feet away from each other, it has much more meaning. Do you think that it's taken some of the pressure, not just only off of women, because that's a kind of an assumption that all the pressure is from men, right?
Usually,
that's an assumption.
Yeah.
But that also, it takes some of the pressure off of men to kind of live up to this idea that this is what they should be doing also, is like bringing that third date, whether third date, fourth date, whatever that is, pressure of sex, and that it's taken some pressure off of everyone to allow something to happen and to grow in a more natural kind of way. And I'd love for you to speak about your observations in this.
Definitely it has slowed things down. It has definitely slowed things down because you're eating outside, you're not at a Knicks game where you can hold hands, you can be smooth. It just the dynamics are different. I think everybody, well, definitely the women are more careful. I feel like the women are more careful, but you just don't even let someone into your house. Younger kids, I think I don't know how much of the younger clients are maybe a little bit like more reckless or go out in groups or stuff. But I definitely think it has slowed things down, and it is giving you a chance to really get to know someone, to see if it's worth going forward, and risk. I have to use the word risk because you get intimate with someone during this time, and everything is a big risk. I mean, I found out my nephew who came over the other day to say hello to me, we both wore masks in my house. He found out he was with a group and one of the people had COVID. So he got tested, and thank God he was negative. Otherwise, then I would have gotten tested if he was positive. I mean, you talk about this human interaction. And so basically things are outside. And I feel as though it's funny because before we were able to go out, people were Zoom dates. And that just was not working, which proves to me you need to smell someone, look in their eyes. That thing was not working. And you look like crap. I mean, I look at myself in this. I think I look better in person. So, I was telling my clients, don't do the virtual thing. But it's definitely, it has slowed things down. And I think for the most part, it's almost like old fashioned, where you can get to know someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like the old
courtship.
There's more courtship. Yeah. I mean, more, you become friends, like you were saying. You can almost build a friendship and get to know someone more so than the physical just jumping in.
And Lisa, how do you ensure that there is some level of vetting and screening in place for your client? when you put them out on a date?
And nobody, I get people through people. Like, for example, if you send me a few of your friends, I'm going to trust that these are not, you know, crazy people. I mean, I will get to know their quirks or who they are because I'm a very good judge of character. Now I would be FaceTiming with them. I have a few of those this afternoon with some more male inventory. So it's in my gut and where this person comes from. One time I met a guy on the subway. I was going downtown to the Wall Street area and I was a little bit lost. And I asked this young guy, he was adorable, where the courthouse was. And he said, you know, I'm getting off, but I'll get off with you and I'll walk you there. And he seemed really nice. And I turned around to him and I said, are you single? This happened twice on the subway. Are you single? And he said, yes, I am. I said, you know, I'm a matchmaker and I would love to set you up with one of my girls. He said, okay. So he gave me his card and I gave him my card and I set him up and they were going to the boathouse for dinner. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know who this guy is. He's not originally from New York. And now he's taking her in the middle of Central Park. Oh my God, like, I don't know him. Like, I do nothing. I don't know his family. I don't know his friends. I don't know his boss. Anyway, I made her call me when she got home and it was fine. And it was a one off and I never heard from the guy again. But I was so nervous because he didn't come from anywhere. And, you know, I can meet a guy at a dinner party. Well, that's not happening anymore. But people refer and say, oh my God, I have a friend. Or if I have a single guy that I'm working with, he gives me his friend. So it's almost like a community. And that's how I've run this business. So I don't go online and find guys on Match or Bumble or whatever and just recruit them. I don't do that because I don't know who they are. So
the referral is always a trusted way to get.
Absolutely.
And nowadays as well on internet with Google, I mean, we all have an e-reputation. And if there is really a huge red flag, it would be out there for any one of us. But then it's true that you cannot at your level, you know, you're not supposed to know how psychologically the person is on the long term, you know, like
right.
One has psychological patterns and you don't know, maybe, you know, like it's someone who once, you know, like he gets committed, he's the type to run away because he has some commitment here, but then that's part of the discovery.
So Lisa, you also sound like you're like a part mama, you know, you're part mama. You're you know, you're making sure, you know, your women are doing okay. You know, you're helping them. I mean, I imagine that people come in with all different levels of how they feel about themselves, how they value themselves, or not be able to connect with their own value. And so I picture you as someone who can be that person who can also in vivo in these very important ways of relationship and dating to help women also connect with more confidence inside of themselves and connect with their own attractiveness.
Well, it's, you know, when one hasn't dated, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, your own attractiveness.
When one hasn't
just physical.
Absolutely. When one hasn't dated for a while, it's daunting. It's like, oh my God, it's changed. Whatever the dynamics are, or again, like we were saying before, is to get to know yourself again. Pardon me. Do I look like my photos? I mean, am I interesting enough? Am I just the whole thing? It's so I do work with like widows and divorcees, people who haven't been out there, who I'm talking to a woman later. She's been a widow for 9 years. She has not had that much dating experience, and she wants it to be. I mean, she almost doesn't want to go through the whole process, but you have to walk before you run, you know. And so I see people putting their chosen words. So I'm very good at that. I talk to them about what they're going to wear. don't talk about this. Like, if your husband cheated on you, I don't think you should bring that into the conversation right away. Whatever it might be, I guide them along the way on how to date. I'm very opposed to long phone conversations because you give it all away. You appreciate this. I don't give the woman's last name because men will Google, it irritates me. They will Google and they'll find the one picture of her that's not great. And they'll say, now, you know what, is she overweight? Like I get this. So I show them a current recent picture. I give them a little bio. And I do not, if they have their phone number on their last name on their phone, I tell them to take it off. Because also the privacy, go out with, not so many expectations and do it. Men get this fantasy sometimes. And it's happened to me personally, and I see it. They see a picture and they hear you on the phone and, it's a short conversation and they're like lapdogs, And I think that sometimes they build up this fantasy in their mind that it's going to be love at first sight, because that's what happened with their ex-wife, and they're looking for this thing, and then they set themselves up for nightmares. I mean, it's the dynamics and the crazy things that happen with women are more real and they're more realistic. And another thing is why I don't love working with men as clients, though I would take on, a guy if he was nice and set upable. Trust me, I'm a businesswoman. But if the guy, is my client and she has one freckle, he thinks once he pays me this money, he's going to get Elle McPherson. He's going to get, whoever. I don't know who the current, I don't care if I have a comb over and I'm overweight, I'm paying you X amount of thousands of dollars and I want a model. Where women are forgiving. They tell me, hair is very important. I don't care if he's short. I don't care if he's a little overweight. I like a guy with hair. Or, so, okay, they have a deal breaker or two. I'm up for that. But they trust me and they're forgiving and they're understanding. And so they want the love and they get it. And so it's just, that's why I so enjoy working with women, because we're on that level. We're on that same level of being open and we're multifaceted, and they realize it's not going to be perfect. So what are you willing to compromise on? If a wealthy man and that lifestyle is important to you, then maybe she doesn't care what he looks like. Or if she really wants a funny guy, or, if her husband cheated on her, she has to have that trust right away. It has to be a very nurturing man. So, I try to hear what they're looking for and go almost, in between the lines, and of course it has to be chemistry, it has to be attraction and blah, 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 blah. So and then I manage the men too. He's like, wow, I had a great time. I'm like, send her flowers, set up another date. Don't wait 10 days, make her feel special, so I'm busy.
Yes.
Busy.
So, Lisa, a final advice you have for those who may be still weighing the pros and cons of dating, or are dating and not finding true love?
Well, maybe you're being too picky. Maybe you have such tight guidelines that you're not giving people a chance. So many of my marriages are where one person went, nah, and I'm like, just go on one date, and they wind up getting married. It was just this pattern that happened that, it's just, oh my God, he was fabulous, or she was great, or I make them go on second date. I had a couple, he said she was great, took her to a Springsteen concert with all my brothers, so she was really great, and every man said she was boring and shy. So somehow something special was going on there. And he's like, yeah, but she's not really my look. I said, just please take her out one more time. So now they're married with 2 kids. So there was that spark on the second date, and it was just this natural thing. So I think that maybe the people that aren't finding love are being too picky. They aren't being open enough. They're not going on a second and third date to give it a chance to see if it could grow. Maybe they're just not looking in the right places. Maybe there's something within them that's blocking that they need to iron out. So I think you just have to, like you said, go out, have fun. So maybe you learn about a book, you learn about a movie, you learn about a restaurant, a new song, you have a lovely evening, you make a new friend. He's not for you, you flip him to your friend. My girls are not allowed to do that though. My clients are not allowed to set up. But it's just being out and having that human connection. That dating should be fun. You get dressed, you put on your special lipstick, you put on your special whatever it is, and you feel like a princess and you go out. And I've always looked at dating that way. It's fun and it's exciting and it makes you feel special. And so you get to that level of being in a relationship and just being with that one person. And then again, I hope that couples have date night and make that special to make the relationship still exciting and alive. You have to work at it, like you guys were saying.
Yeah. Dr. Ryger, can you leave our beloved audience with a conclusive word?
Yes. First of all, I want to thank Lisa so much for bringing her decades of experience and wisdom here today, taking out her pom-poms and cheering on relationships, regardless of COVID or not COVID and whatever else kind of is makes it even harder to go and to find connectedness. So one of the takeaways from today is don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up on love. Don't give up. Get yourself out there. So that's one, don't give up. Two is to Neza's point, what we're talking about today, what I've been mentioning is that you need to find a confidence in yourself. And this dating is not just about finding out about the other person, but it gives you this extraordinary opportunity to really learn more about yourself, to understand how you value yourself, to understand how you may undervalue or not value yourself, to be able to tolerate and look at what kind of risk you're willing to take and how you can withstand that. And to be able to look at yourself and say, I'm going for it. And to give yourself that space of courage. What the Beatles also said, I started with All You Need Is Love. And the Beatles also said, can't buy me love. Well, you can't buy love, but you can also use some finance to engage someone to help you get to the love that that can't be bought, but somebody can help you get there. And so on this note, it's been such a great pleasure to be here today with Neza and with Lisa. And as we say, we love having you today. It's wonderful to have you here as part of the sisterhood. And as always, we've saved a seat for you. To save a seat for you, please subscribe to Join Mayshad's YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit the bell to get all notifications of our great content.